In the last episode, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion devised a plan to reboot Elysium's harmonics, driven by their determination to revive Aethereia and thwart the Puppeteer's sinister ambitions. They had uncovered traitors within their ranks and were being relentlessly pursued by rival treasure hunters, but their newfound purpose and the support of their allies bolstered their resolve. As they navigated the complex network of ley lines, they tracked the resonant frequency to its source, leading them to a hidden Aethereian city deep beneath Elysium's surface. My heart pounded in my chest as I gazed out at the endless expanse of Elysium's twilight landscape. The sky was a deep shade of indigo, with stars beginning to twinkle like diamonds scattered across the fabric of space. I could feel the weight of our mission settling upon me, the burden of responsibility for the fate of Aethereia. Elara's voice cut through my thoughts, her words laced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "We have to be careful, Alex. We don't know what we'll find down there." I nodded, my eyes locked on the entrance to the hidden city, a massive stone structure that seemed to have been carved directly into the living rock. "We'll face whatever comes our way together." Dr. Orion's hands moved deftly over the controls of his device, a look of intense focus etched on his face. "I'm reading a unique energy signature emanating from within the city, Alex. It's unlike anything I've seen before." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I stepped forward, my boots echoing off the walls of the entrance. "Let's move." As we descended into the depths of the city, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. I could feel it pulsing through my veins like a second heartbeat. We encountered strange artifacts and technologies, relics of a civilization that had once thrived on Aethereia. "What are these devices?" Elara asked, her fingers tracing the intricate patterns etched into the surface of one of the artifacts. Dr. Orion's eyes widened as he examined the device. "These are Aethereian energy shields, Elara. If we can master this technology—" A sudden jolt interrupted his words, the sound of alarms echoing through the corridors. "What's happening?" I demanded, my hand on the grip of my sidearm. Dr. Orion's face went pale. "We've triggered a security system. We need to get out of here now." We sprinted through the winding corridors, pursued by the relentless minions of the Puppeteer. My heart racing, I could feel the weight of our quest bearing down on me. We were running out of time. A blast of energy exploded nearby, sending me stumbling backward. "Elara!" I shouted, scrambling to my feet. Her voice was steady, though laced with concern. "I'm here, Alex." We regrouped, our breathing ragged, and pressed on. The city seemed to be shifting around us, the corridors twisting and turning in impossible ways. I began to feel disoriented, but Elara's hand on my arm kept me grounded. "There," Dr. Orion whispered, pointing to a glowing crystal nestled in the heart of the city. The crystal pulsed with an intense blue-white light. I could feel its power coursing through me, calling to me. "This is it," I whispered, my voice barely audible. Elara's eyes met mine, a spark of determination burning within them. "Let's do this." As we reached out to touch the crystal, the world around us seemed to hold its breath. And then, in an instant, everything changed. The crystal's light enveloped us, and I felt myself being pulled apart and put back together again. The energy was exhilarating, overwhelming. When the light faded, I found myself standing in a vast, open plain. The sky above was a deep shade of blue, with a sun that shone bright and warm. "Where are we?" I asked, my voice shaking. Elara's hand slipped into mine, her eyes shining with tears. "I don't know, Alex, but I think we're not alone." A figure emerged from the distance, walking toward us with a purposeful stride. "Who are you?" I called out, my hand on the grip of my sidearm. The figure drew closer, its features becoming clearer with each step. I felt a jolt of recognition, a sense of wonder. And then, everything went black previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion had braved the hidden Aethereian city, navigating treacherous corridors and avoiding the Puppeteer's lethal minions. As they reached the heart of the city, they discovered a glowing crystal, the key to rebooting Elysium's harmonics and reviving Aethereia. With the crystal's energy coursing through them, they were transported to an unknown location. My vision blurred, and I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me. When I opened my eyes, I found myself standing in the same open plain, surrounded by the same blue sky and warm sun. Elara's hand still grasped mine, her face etched with concern. "Alex, are you okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. I nodded, still disoriented. The figure from before stood before us, their features now unmistakable. It was Lyra, the Aethereian who had sent us cryptic messages through the ruins of Elysium. "Lyra?" I asked, my voice laced with uncertainty. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, filled with an unspoken understanding. She approached us with a slow, deliberate pace, her movements eerily silent. "You have passed the test," Lyra stated, her voice devoid of emotion. "You have proven your determination to revive Aethereia." Elara's grip on my hand tightened, her eyes darting between Lyra and me. "What test?" Elara demanded, her voice laced with suspicion. "What do you mean?" Lyra's gaze shifted to the crystal, now hovering in the air between us. "The crystal is the key to unlocking Aethereia's secrets," Lyra explained, "but it also holds the power to determine those worthy of wielding it." I felt a surge of energy within me, a connection to the crystal that I couldn't explain. "What do you mean?" I pressed, my voice firm. Lyra's eyes flickered, a hint of sadness crossing her face. "Those who possess the crystal's power will be tasked with rebuilding Aethereia," Lyra stated, "but they will also be burdened with the weight of its secrets and the responsibility to protect it from those who would misuse its power." Elara's hand slipped from mine, her face pale. "What secrets?" I demanded, my heart racing. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, her gaze piercing. "The secrets of Aethereia's downfall," Lyra whispered, "and the truth about the Puppeteer's true intentions." The air seemed to grow heavier, the weight of our mission settling upon us. "We're ready," I declared, squaring my shoulders. "We'll face whatever comes our way together." Lyra's eyes seemed to bore into my soul, searching for any sign of doubt. "I believe you," Lyra stated finally. "Then let us begin." With those words, Lyra raised her hand and the air around us began to shift. The plain transformed into a sprawling city, filled with ancient structures that seemed to hold the secrets of Aethereia's past. We were about to embark on a journey that would take us to the very heart of Aethereia and uncover the secrets that had been hidden for centuries. But as we stepped forward, ready to face whatever lay ahead, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were walking into a trap, one that would test our resolve, our loyalty, and our determination to revive Aethereia previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion discovered the glowing crystal, the key to rebooting Elysium's harmonics and reviving Aethereia, and were transported to an unknown location, where they encountered Lyra, the Aethereian who had sent them cryptic messages through the ruins of Elysium. As we ventured into the sprawling city, the structures loomed above us, their ancient stones whispering secrets in the wind. Lyra led the way, her pace steady and deliberate. Elara walked beside me, her eyes scanning the horizon, while Dr. Orion trailed behind, his gaze fixed on the city's architecture. The air was thick with anticipation, the weight of our mission settling upon us. Lyra's words echoed in my mind, the secrets of Aethereia's downfall and the truth about the Puppeteer's true intentions. As we navigated the winding streets, the buildings seemed to shift and change, as if the city itself was reacting to our presence. Lyra halted before a grand, crystal-encrusted gate. "This is the Hall of Records," Lyra stated, her voice low and solemn. "Here you will find the secrets of Aethereia's downfall and the source of the transmission's power." Elara's hand grasped mine, her touch warm and reassuring. Dr. Orion stepped forward, his eyes lighting up with excitement. "But what about the Puppeteer's true intentions?" I pressed, my heart pounding in my chest. Lyra's gaze flickered, a hint of unease crossing her face. "That too, you will find within the Hall of Records," Lyra replied, her voice dripping with caution. "But be warned, the truth comes at a price, one that you may not be willing to pay." With those words, Lyra pushed open the gate and a warm, golden light enveloped us. As we stepped forward, the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. We knew that we were walking into the heart of Aethereia, but with each step, the stakes escalated and the danger drew closer previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion discovered the secrets of Aethereia's downfall and the source of the transmission's power within the Hall of Records. But Lyra's ominous warning hinted at a terrible truth about the Puppeteer's true intentions that came at a price they might not be willing to pay. As we delved deeper into the Hall of Records, the air vibrated with ancient knowledge, and the walls seemed to whisper secrets in a language only the Aethereians could understand. Lyra led us to a chamber filled with glowing orbs, each containing a fragment of Aethereia's past. "The Chronicles of Aethereia," Lyra announced, her eyes gleaming with a hint of sadness. "Here, you will find the truth about the downfall of our civilization." I approached the orbs, feeling an inexplicable connection to the ancient technology. As I reached out to touch one, a vision burst forth, transporting me to a time when Aethereia was thriving. I saw the Aethereians harnessing the power of the planet, their advanced technology and harmonics blending in perfect symphony. But as the vision progressed, I witnessed the rise of corruption and greed, the once peaceful Aethereians torn apart by internal conflicts. The vision faded, leaving me breathless and shaken. Elara's hand grasped mine, her eyes reflecting the same horror I felt. "The Aethereians brought about their own downfall," I whispered, the weight of the revelation crushing me. Dr. Orion's eyes were fixed on the orbs, his mind racing with the possibilities. "This changes everything," he muttered. "The secrets of Aethereia's rebirth lie within these orbs. We can." But Lyra's words cut him off, her voice heavy with warning. "You must understand, Alex, the truth about the Puppeteer's true intentions is not something you will find in these chronicles. It is a secret only a select few know, and it will require great courage to uncover." I turned to Lyra, determination burning within me. "I'll do whatever it takes to uncover the truth, no matter the cost." As I spoke, the chamber began to darken, the orb's glow fading like embers dying out. Lyra's eyes seemed to gaze beyond me as if she saw a future I couldn't comprehend. "Then let us proceed," Lyra said, her voice laced with a resigned determination. "For in the shadows, the Puppeteer waits, and only you, Alex, can unmask the truth previously." Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion uncovered the secrets of Aethereia's downfall and the source of the transmission's power within the Hall of Records. But Lyra's ominous warning hinted at a terrible truth about the Puppeteer's true intentions that came at a price they might not be willing to pay. As Lyra's words hung in the air, the chamber's darkness seemed to coalesce into a palpable presence, suffocating us with an unspoken threat. I felt Elara's grip on my hand tighten, her eyes reflecting the dread that gripped my heart. Dr. Orion's usual confidence had given way to a mixture of fascination and trepidation, his gaze darting between Lyra and the faded orbs. "The time for hesitation is behind us," Lyra declared, her voice steady despite the turmoil brewing beneath her words. "The path ahead will be fraught with uncertainty, but I will guide you through the shadows, Alex. Together, we will unmask the Puppeteer's true intentions and confront the darkness that has haunted our world for centuries." With Lyra leading the way, we navigated the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the Hall of Records, avoiding the Puppeteer's minions and rival treasure hunters. Every step forward seemed to raise the stakes, the air thickening with anticipation and danger. We pushed on, fueled by our determination to uncover the truth and reclaim Aethereia's future. Our journey took us to the outskirts of Elysium, where the landscape shifted from the Aethereian city's sleek architecture to the rugged, unforgiving environment of the planet's surface. Lyra led us to an ancient temple, hidden behind a waterfall that cascaded down a cliff face. The temple's entrance was sealed, protected by an intricate energy grid that Lyra expertly navigated, using her knowledge of the Aethereians' ancient technology. As we entered the temple, we found ourselves in a vast, dimly lit chamber filled with rows of ancient pedestals. Atop each pedestal rested a gleaming, crystal-like object that seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. Lyra approached the nearest pedestal, her hand hovering above the crystal. "This is the heart of Aethereia," Lyra explained, her eyes aglow with reverence. "The crystals hold the essence of Aethereia's planet heart, the source of its power and the key to its rebirth." Dr. Orion's eyes widened in awe as he examined the crystals, his mind racing with the implications. These crystals could amplify our harmonics, allow us to reboot Elysium's grid and awaken Aethereia's dormant potential. The thrill of discovery was short-lived as the temple began to shake, the ground rumbling with an ominous warning. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, a warning flash of fear crossing her features. "The Puppeteer's minions have found us," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the growing din. "We must protect the heart of Aethereia at all costs. The future of our world depends on it." With the sound of approaching footsteps echoing through the temple, our small group steeled ourselves for the battle ahead, knowing that the fate of Aethereia hung precariously in the balance previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion uncovered the secrets of Aethereia's downfall and the source of the transmission's power within the Hall of Records, only to be warned by Lyra about the Puppeteer's true, ominous intentions. Now they must protect the heart of Aethereia from falling into the wrong hands. As Lyra's warning hung in the air, the temple's ancient stone seemed to shudder, as if the planet itself was awakening to defend its secrets. I felt the ground tremble beneath my feet, and my heart raced with anticipation. Elara's hand on my arm was a reassuring presence, but Dr. Orion's eyes reflected a mix of fear and determination. "We need to move, Lyra," I urged, my voice laced with urgency. "We can't let them get their hands on the heart." Lyra nodded, her eyes flashing with determination. "Follow me. We'll use the temple's defenses to hold them off." With Lyra leading the way, we sprinted through the temple's narrow corridors, dodging ancient traps and triggering hidden mechanisms that sealed off sections of the temple. The air was thick with tension, as we narrowly avoided deadly traps and fought off rival treasure hunters. Lyra's knowledge of the temple's secrets proved to be our only advantage, as she expertly navigated the treacherous path ahead. As we entered the temple's central chamber, the sound of gunfire and explosions echoed through the air. Our pursuers had breached the temple's defenses, and now they were closing in on us. Lyra led us to a massive energy gate, protected by a series of ancient runes. "This is the only way out," Lyra declared, her eyes scanning the chamber for any signs of danger, "but we need to decode the runes to unlock it." Dr. Orion's eyes lit up with excitement as he began to work on deciphering the ancient language. Elara and I stood guard, our guns at the ready, as we prepared to face our pursuers. Suddenly, the temple's walls began to glow with an intense blue light. The air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly energy as the temple itself began to defend its secrets. The energy gate began to hum as the runes began to glow, unlocking the gate. "We need to move now," Dr. Orion yelled as the temple's defenses collapsed. With the temple's secrets lost forever, we sprinted through the energy gate, leaving behind the rival treasure hunters and the Puppeteer's minions. We emerged on the surface of Elysium, our footsteps echoing through the desolate landscape. But as we stood there, panting and exhausted, I felt a strange sensation wash over me. It was as if the planet itself was stirring, awakening to defend its secrets. I looked up at the sky as a brilliant flash of light illuminated the horizon. The light faded, revealing a towering figure cloaked in shadows. "The time for hesitation is over," Lyra whispered, her voice barely audible above the wind. "The path to Aethereia's rebirth begins now." The figure began to move towards us, its presence filling the air with an ominous energy. I felt Elara's hand on my arm as Dr. Orion's determination turned to fear. "What is this?" Dr. Orion stammered, his eyes fixed on the figure. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, a warning flash of fear crossing her features. "The guardian of Aethereia," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "The last line of defense against those who would misuse its power." The guardian's presence filled the air as it loomed over us, its intention unclear. We stood there, frozen in anticipation as the fate of Aethereia hung precariously in the balance previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion escaped the temple with Lyra's warning, only to be confronted by the guardian of Aethereia, a powerful entity tasked with defending the planet's secrets from those who would misuse its power. As the guardian's towering figure loomed over us, its intentions unclear, Lyra's words echoed in my mind. The time for hesitation is over. The path to Aethereia's rebirth begins now. I felt the weight of responsibility settle in, as Elara's hand on my arm became a reassuring presence. I took a step forward, my heart pounding in my chest. "We mean no harm," I declared, my voice steady. "We're here to restore Aethereia to its former glory, not to exploit its power." The Guardian's gaze seemed to bore into my soul as if searching for any deceit or hidden agenda. Suddenly, the Guardian spoke, its voice like thunderous silence. "Your intentions are pure, Alex, but the road ahead is treacherous. The path to rebirth is fraught with danger, and the price of failure is extinction." I swallowed hard, the weight of the Guardian's words settling in. "We're willing to take that risk," I said, my voice firm. "We'll do whatever it takes to restore Aethereia." The Guardian nodded, its presence shifting as if considering our resolve. "Then let us begin," it declared. "The first trial is the labyrinth of reflection. You must navigate its treacherous paths where your deepest fears and doubts will be tested." Dr. Orion's eyes lit up with excitement, while Elara's gaze turned cautious. Lyra's eyes flashed with a warning, as if urging us to be prepared for anything. Without another word, the Guardian vanished, leaving us alone in the desolate landscape. The air seemed to vibrate with anticipation as we stood there, ready to face whatever lay ahead. "Let's do this," I said, a determined smile spreading across my face. "We've got this." Elara's hand on my arm tightened as Dr. Orion's eyes sparkled with excitement. Lyra's eyes locked onto mine, a hint of warning hidden behind her gaze. Together, we stepped forward into the unknown, as the labyrinth of reflection loomed before us like an abyss of darkness, waiting to consume us whole. Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion faced the guardian of Aethereia, who presented them with the labyrinth of reflection, a treacherous path that would test their deepest fears and doubts. As we stepped into the labyrinth, the air thickened with an eerie silence, the only sound being the soft crunch of gravel beneath our feet. The walls, a labyrinthine maze of mirrors, stretched out before us like an endless silver snake. Lyra's warning whispered in my ear, "Your fears will try to consume you, but don't let them." I took a deep breath, my heart pounding against my chest. A faint whisper, almost inaudible, began to seep into my mind like a cold draft on a winter's night. "You'll never be enough, Alex. You're just a scavenger, a relic hunter. You don't have what it takes to lead Aethereia to rebirth." The voice was my own, but it didn't feel like mine. It was a dark echo, a shadow that lurked within me, waiting to pounce. I felt Elara's hand on my shoulder, her grip tightening as she sensed my unease. Dr. Orion's eyes darted between us as if searching for any sign of weakness. Lyra's gaze, however, remained fixed on me, her eyes piercing through the darkness. I declared, my words barely above a whisper. Suddenly, the mirrors around us began to ripple and distort, like the surface of a stagnant pond. Reflections of ourselves stared back at us, each one a twisted mockery of our true selves. I saw myself as a coward, fleeing from the Guardian's warning. Elara's reflection showed her as a broken, shattered version of herself, mourning the loss of her people. Dr. Orion's gaze was cold, calculating, as if he was willing to sacrifice us for his own gain. Lyra's reflection, however, was different. It showed her as a warrior, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. Her gaze locked onto mine, and I felt a surge of courage and determination flow through me. I knew in that moment that we would face whatever the labyrinth threw at us together. With newfound resolve, I turned to my companions. "Let's move forward," I said, my voice firm. "We'll face our fears and emerge stronger on the other side." Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion entered the labyrinth of reflection, where their deepest fears and doubts threatened to consume them. As mirrors rippled and distorted, twisted reflections stared back, taunting them with dark echoes of their own selves. Lyra's reflection, however, blazed with determination, bolstering Alex's resolve. With newfound courage they pressed on, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the mirrors began to fade, replaced by an eerie, pulsing mist that swirled around them. The air grew colder, heavy with an otherworldly energy. We can't shake off the feeling that we're being watched, I thought, my senses on high alert. Suddenly, a faint, pulsing light materialized ahead, illuminating a path through the mist. Without hesitation, we followed it, our footsteps echoing through the desolate landscape. The mist began to clear, revealing a vast, crystal chamber hidden deep within the labyrinth. A towering crystal monolith stood at the chamber's center, pulsing with the same energy as the mist. The air around it seemed to vibrate as if the very fabric of reality was being reshaped. I approached the monolith, my heart pounding in unison with its rhythmic pulse. As I reached out to touch the crystal, an image burst into my mind, an image of Aethereia in all its former glory, teeming with life, their cities shining like beacons of hope. The vision was breathtaking, a glimpse into a world that once was and could be again. But as I gazed upon the monolith, I knew that something was amiss. A lingering sense of unease crept into my thoughts, a feeling that the monolith was not just a simple relic, but a gateway to something more sinister. And then I saw it, a dark, shadowy form, lurking just beyond the crystal's reach. Its presence sent shivers down my spine. Who or what was this creature, and what did it have to do with the Guardian's cryptic warning? As I stood transfixed, the chamber began to darken, the pulsing energy faltering. Elara and Dr. Orion's grip on my arms tightened as if they sensed the approaching danger. I knew in that instant that we had to leave now. But it was too late. The shadowy form had already begun to materialize, its presence suffocating. Well, a low, raspy voice whispered as the darkness crystallized into a humanoid form. What do we have here? The brave little heroes, so full of hope and determination. Its eyes, like two black holes, locked onto mine, sending a chill down my spine. I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that this creature was the Puppeteer's most trusted minion, the one who would stop at nothing to claim Elysium's secrets. "Welcome to my domain," it hissed, as the chamber began to fade, replaced by an endless expanse of darkness. "You'll never leave this place alive." Previously, Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion echoed through the desolate labyrinth of reflection, where Lyra's determination bolstered Alex's resolve, and they pressed on despite the eerie, pulsing mist that swirled around them, only to be confronted by a dark, shadowy form that materialized into the humanoid minion of the Puppeteer. As the minion's cold, raspy voice whispered in my ear, the chamber began to fade, replaced by an endless expanse of darkness. I felt the weight of Elara and Dr. Orion's grip on my arms, their faces set with determination. We were trapped, and our only hope was to think fast or die trying. The minion's eyes flashed with amusement as if it savored our fear. "You should have stayed in your little hole, Alex," it sneered. "Now, you'll make a fine addition to my collection." It raised its hand, and a darkness unlike anything I had seen before began to spread. Tendrils of shadow reached out, wrapping around us like living vines. I tried to move, but the grip was unyielding. We were about to become the minion's latest playthings. "Dr. Orion," I whispered urgently, "can you hack into the labyrinth's energy?" Dr. Orion's eyes darted towards the pulsing mist, his gaze narrowing. "I think I can do it," I growled, just as the minion's darkness was about to consume us. Dr. Orion's fingers flew across an invisible console, and the mist around us began to respond. The pulsing energy surged, creating a localized resonance that repelled the darkness. The shadows recoiled, giving us a small window of opportunity. "Elara, can you?" The warrior nodded, her eyes locked on the minion. "I'll handle this one, Alex." With a fierce cry, Elara launched herself at the minion, her movements a blur of steel and fury. The minion snarled, its darkness retaliating, but Elara danced around its attacks, her sword slicing through the shadows like a beacon of light. "Dr. Orion, keep the resonance going," I yelled, my eyes locked on the battle. The scientist nodded, his fingers flying across the air as the mist continued to swirl around us. I watched, awestruck, as Elara's sword sliced through the minion's dark tendrils, buying us precious time. But even as Elara fought with all her might, I knew we couldn't keep this up for much longer. The minion was too powerful and the darkness was starting to gain ground. We needed a new plan, and fast. I glanced around, searching for an opening, my mind racing with ideas. That's when I spotted a faint, flickering light emanating from the crystal monolith. It was our only hope. "Elara, Dr. Orion, towards the monolith," I yelled, even as the minion's darkness began to close in. Together, the three of us made a desperate dash towards the crystal monolith, the pulsing energy from the mist propelling us forward. Elara's sword sliced through the shadows, clearing a path, as the minion's roars echoed through the labyrinth, growing louder with every step. We burst through the crystal's energy field, and suddenly we were engulfed in a blinding light. The minion's darkness faltered, recoiling in pain. As the light faded, I blinked, my vision adjusting. We stood in a vast, crystal chamber, surrounded by ancient Aethereian artifacts and technologies. The air was alive with energy, and I knew we had finally reached the heart of Elysium. But our victory was short-lived. The minion's darkness began to seep back, its presence suffocating. And I knew with a sinking feeling that we had only delayed the inevitable. We had to find a way to harness the chamber's energy, and fast. Otherwise, we'd never leave this place alive previously. Alex, Elara, and Dr. Orion outmaneuvered the humanoid minion of the Puppeteer in the labyrinth of reflection, buying themselves a small window of opportunity to escape. Elara fought valiantly, buying time with her sword, while Dr. Orion hacked into the labyrinth's energy, creating a localized resonance that repelled the darkness. As the minion's darkness began to close in, they made a desperate dash towards the crystal monolith, where they found themselves in a vast, surrounded by Aethereian artifacts. As the light faded, I gazed upon the ancient relics, my heart racing with wonder. The air was electric, pulsing with an otherworldly energy that seemed to reverberate through every cell in my body. Elara's breathing slowed, her eyes fixed on the wonders around us. Dr. Orion's eyes sparkled, his mind already racing to unlock the secrets hidden within these ancient technologies. But our awe was tempered by the weight of our predicament. The minion's darkness stilled to reclaim us, and we knew we had to act fast. I gazed around, taking stock of the chamber. It was a vast, labyrinthine structure, with crystalline pillars that refracted light in dazzling patterns. Every surface was etched with ancient runes, pulsing with an energy that seemed to be calling to us. "Dr. Orion, can you interface with these systems?" I asked, my voice hushed in reverence. The scientist nodded, his fingers dancing across an invisible console. The runes on the walls began to glow, pulsing with an increasingly rapid rhythm. The energy in the air grew more turbulent, as if the very fabric of reality was being reshaped before our eyes. "Elara, can you sense the harmonics?" I asked, my eyes locked on the warrior. Elara's gaze was distant, her eyes unfocused. I think so, Alex. The energy patterns are shifting, aligning with the resonance of Elysium," she whispered, her voice awestruck. Dr. Orion's hands flew across the air, his eyes locked on the runes. Trying to harmonize the chamber's energy with the planet's resonance. "If we can do that, we might be able to reboot Elysium's harmonics, Alex." I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the final push. "Do it, Dr. Orion. This is our only chance to save Aethereia." As Dr. Orion worked their magic, the chamber's energy began to build, the air crackling with electricity. The runes pulsed faster until the room was bathed in a brilliant light. The energy surged, a maelstrom of power that threatened to consume us. And in that moment, I knew we were on the cusp of something momentous. Either we succeeded and Aethereia was reborn, or we failed, and the Puppeteer claimed us previously. Alex, Elara and Dr. Orion finally implemented their plan to reboot Elysium's harmonics, racing against time to escape the relentless pursuit of rival treasure hunters and the relentless pursuit of the Puppeteer's minions within their own ranks. The light faded, leaving behind an eerie silence. The air was heavy with anticipation, as if the very fabric of reality held its breath. Dr. Orion's hands hovered above an invisible interface, the runes on the walls pulsing in sync with the planet's resonance. Elara's eyes remained fixed on the energy patterns, her senses attuned to the shifting harmonics. I stood tall, my heart pounding in rhythm with the chamber's energy. The chamber's pillars began to glow, radiance emanating from the crystalline structures. The air crackled with electricity as the runes pulsed faster, bathing the room in an intense, blinding light. The energy surged, threatening to consume us. In that moment, I knew we had reached the brink of something monumental. Suddenly, the chamber's energy imploded, a wave of silence washing over us. The runes dimmed, the pillars ceased their glow. The air stilled, holding its breath in anticipation. Elara's eyes snapped back into focus, her gaze locking onto mine. Dr. Orion's fingers froze, his eyes darting between us. I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment settling onto my shoulders. The scientist's eyes locked onto mine, a glimmer of hope flickering within. Elara's gaze held mine, her expression a mask of uncertainty. The silence was broken by a faint hum, growing louder with each passing moment. The runes on the walls began to pulse once more, their energy resonating with the planet's harmonics. The chamber's energy began to build, a gentle, soothing melody that seemed to wash away the darkness. Elara's eyes sparkled, a smile spreading across her face. Dr. Orion's eyes shone with tears, his hands rising in triumph. I felt my heart swell, a sense of accomplishment washing over me. "We did it," I whispered, my voice barely audible. The chamber's energy surged, a wave of light and sound that seemed to reverberate through every cell in my body. The air pulsed with an energy, a vibration that seemed to awaken something ancient, something long forgotten. The chamber's pillars began to glow, their radiance growing in intensity. The air pulsed with an energy that seemed to reshape reality itself. The runes on the walls shone brighter, their energy resonating with the planet's harmonics. The music swelled, a celestial melody that seemed to harmonize the very fabric of reality, reshaping the world anew. The light faded, leaving behind a world reborn. The air was fresh, clean, and pure. The chamber's energy was calm, soothing, and peaceful. Elara's eyes sparkled, her smile radiant. Dr. Orion's eyes shone with tears, his gaze locked onto mine. We had done it. We had saved Aethereia. As we emerged from the chamber, we were greeted by a world transformed. The skies were clear, the air was crisp, and the land was teeming with life. The once barren landscape was now lush and vibrant, teeming with creatures that seemed to have sprung forth from the very earth itself. The people of Aethereia, once scattered and lost, now stood together, united in their determination. They looked up at me, their eyes shining with a newfound hope. I stood tall, my heart full of pride, my spirit buoyed by the knowledge that I had helped bring about this rebirth. I looked at Elara, her eyes sparkling with a newfound sense of purpose. I looked at Dr. Orion, his gaze locked onto mine. A sense of accomplishment and gratitude etched on his face. We had done it. We had brought about a new era of hope, of unity, and of determination. As I gazed out at the reborn world, I knew that this was just the beginning. There would be new challenges, new trials, and new adventures. But I was ready, armed with the knowledge, the skills, and the determination to protect and defend this world. I smiled, my heart full of hope, my spirit soaring with the knowledge that I was no longer alone. I was part of something greater, something that transcended borders and something that would endure for eternity. The journey was far from over. But for now, I stood tall, my heart full of pride, my spirit buoyed by the knowledge that I had brought about a new era of hope.